Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan. The Pilgrim's Progress from this world to that which is to come is a 1678 Christian allegory written by John Bunyan. It could be said that it's based on the biblical idea that we are strangers and pilgrims on the earth. 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 11. Dearly beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts, which war against the soul. The book is the story of a dream about a man called Christian, who allegorically is making his way through this life. He is beset by various trials, but eventually gets to his desired destination, the celestial city. In a sense, it's the story of John Bunyan's pilgrimage. John Bunyan was born in 1628 at Bunyan's End, in the parish of Elstow, Bedfordshire. He was an ordinary man, a mender of pots and kettles. He himself says that he, as a boy, was idle and wayward and never spoke without an oath. Around the time of his 16th birthday, he enlisted in the Parliamentary army in the English Civil War, when an edict demanded 225 recruits from the town of Bedford. There are few details available about his military service, which took place during the first stage of the English Civil War. He came out of the army a changed man, and soon married, despite having very little in the way of material goods. He read his Bible, joined the parish church, and became truly sorrowful for the errors of his youth. Eventually he joined the Baptist people in Bedford, was baptised in the river Ouse, and began to preach. At this point in English history, it was a crime not to attend the established church and to preach the gospel outside of it. In November 1660, he was arrested and thrown into the Bedford County Gaol. He remained there for 12 years, was released, started preaching again, and was briefly imprisoned again. It was while in prison that he started writing the Pilgrim's Progress. In May 1672, he was released and he became the pastor of the Baptists in Bedford. So it was while in prison that he started writing the Pilgrim's Progress. By all accounts, he was extremely popular with his congregation, who nicknamed him Bishop Bunyan. So from this we can see that the book was written out of profound personal experience. The language is that of a plain man, uncomplicated but also eloquent. John Bunyan shows us in his book what to avoid and how to keep on the right path. The main protagonist, Christian, is a typical Mr. Everyman, who often gets into trouble but comes through all right in the end. I've come across the book several times throughout my Christian life, and there are several things in it that have stayed with me. Firstly, the most obvious is that life is a journey. Christian has a book that he reads, the Bible, that convicts him of his sins and leaves him feeling a heavy burden. The weight is unbearable, but an evangelist he meets directs him to the wicket gate for deliverance. The story unfolds as Christian begins his journey. One point is that Christian begins the journey feeling the heavy weight of his sins and longing to be free from them. This is something that is often lost nowadays, as people are invited to become Christians who have no sense of their own burden of sin. It is only later in his journey that a Christian finds the cross of redemption and is released from the heavy burden he carries. Another important point is that he has to leave his home and family and everything he loves in order to follow the path to the celestial city, which is actually heaven. He begs his wife and children to follow him, but initially they refuse. In the second part of the book, they realize their error and take the same path that he has taken. This is another important theme. We have to put our faith in Jesus above all else. If we do, then God will take care of everything else. If we don't, we are in danger of losing everything. While on the journey, Christian is tempted off the path on several occasions. Some of the imagery in the book has passed into our common cultural language. Terms such as the Slough of Despond and Vanity Fair have become familiar to people even though they don't know where they come from. One deception that tempted Christian off the right path was a place called the Village of Morality. When I first read the book, I was surprised that morality was something that could divert us from the straight and narrow way. Christian is directed to the village by Mr. Worldly Wiseman, who tells him to find a Mr. Legality and his son Civility. The deception here is that good deeds and good appearances are a substitute for simple faith in Christ. I think now that this is one of the most subtle deceptions of all. All through his journey, Christian faces pitfalls and diversions, although he has help from companions such as Faithful and Hopeful. At the end of the journey, Christian and Hopeful ascend the hill to the celestial city and are welcomed in. Another character, Ignorance, attempts to follow them in but is not allowed in. He is bound hand and foot and put through a door in the side of the hill. The commentary on this is, "Then I saw that there was a way to hell, even from the gates of heaven, as well as from the city of destruction." The message is that our journey through life is a pilgrimage which isn't over until we reach heaven. People can fail at any point. The only security is in knowing Jesus Christ. John Bunyan was only able to write such a simple yet profound book because of the trials he had been through himself. He wasn't writing philosophy, he was writing out of his own experience. So thank you for listening. If you found this video interesting, you can find more information at prophecy-workshop.com.